I grew up in a beautiful part of Australia. The trees, the hills, and the mountain streams were my playground. While I had everything I needed in life, I was very aware that in other countries, children just like me, through no fault of their own, were going to bed hungry. But living in an age defined by risk, floods are more frequent, droughts last longer, entire communities are being uprooted, not by choice, but by climate. Governments are overwhelmed by the cost of successive crises. The private sector is grappling with fragile supply chains that once felt secure. And as environmental shocks collide with economic and social systems, instability grows, not in theory, but in real time. In reality, we are no longer just responding to disasters. We are living inside a global risk loop, one that is intensifying every year. But here's the good news. There is a way out. In the early 1980s in Niger Republic, I witnessed the devastating effects of land degradation firsthand. Efforts to restore the land through costly tree planting failed. Niger is a landlocked country, a borderland of the Sahara Desert, and one of the poorest countries in the world. The landscape that confronted me on arrival was at the point of ecological collapse, barely able to support life. Because of that destruction, people experienced regular hunger, poverty, and displacement. In that moment, everything changed, and this was the turning point and the discovery of what we call the underground forest. When I first met Hoti, his land was dying, and so was his sense of hope. Imagine standing on a stretch of barren land, dry, cracked soil, no shade, no crops, no hope. Now, imagine that same land 3 years later, covered with trees, with life, with promise. What changed? What turned things around for Hoti was something called Farmer-Managed Natural Regeneration, or FMNR. It's a mouthful, but the idea is simple yet powerful. So how does FMNR work? At its core, FMNR is beautifully simple and incredibly effective, and it doesn't require high-tech solutions or massive infrastructure. It starts with identifying living tree stumps and natural seedlings already present in the field, in grazing lands and in forest lands. Pruning and thinning of excess shoots and branches focuses the tree's energy, giving rapid and robust growth. Emerging trees are protected from fire, livestock, and human destruction. Monitoring keeps the momentum going and helps practitioners learn by doing as they adapt the approach to their specific context and to help meet their specific needs. Finally, practitioners are encouraged to utilize the trees and tree products sustainably. This low-cost, low-risk method requires no expensive seedling nurseries or irrigation. It's reliant on local ownership and stewardship, and thus it doesn't create dependency on external expertise or resources. FMNR works not by fighting nature, but by unlocking nature's own ability to self-heal. Beneath the surface of many formerly forested areas, even the driest, most degraded land, life remains, waiting. And with the right touch, it returns. And when it does, everything changes. But FMNR is not just about trees or soil. It's about people. It's about enabling and empowering ordinary people, farmers, families, entire communities to become stewards of the land rather than destroyers of it. They don't need to wait for help. They are the help. And that realization is transformative. That's why FMNR matters to CSR, ESG enthusiasts like you. It delivers tangible, measurable wins for both people and the planet. And better yet, its sustainable impact is easily scalable. What makes FMNR truly extraordinary is not just that it unlocks both socio-economic and environmental benefits. It is extraordinary because it scales. So let's explore what it means to scale. In Niger, FMNR was first promoted successfully at village level. With a slight increase in effort, it was subsequently promoted at district and national levels. I wondered, what would it take to promote FMNR at regional and international levels? Over the years, I've discovered that even a small increase in effort can lead to an exponential increase in the spread of FMNR. Our approach progressed from face-to-face visits and workshops to presenting at international conferences and on to providing training, information and videos online. Instead of a single non-government organisation promoting FMNR, we began working with governments at all levels, educational and research institutes, faith-based organisations and other non-government organisations. We advocated for favourable policies which give land users the assurance that they will benefit from their restoration efforts. This gave confidence and boldness to early adopters who led the way. In Niger, FMNR experienced exponential spread through what was primarily a bottom-up farmers' movement. It took 20 years to regenerate 200 million trees across 5 million hectares. This feat was achieved by the collective actions of amongst the world's poorest people. In other words, this amazing transformation occurred in a most unlikely place and was led by a group of people who were assumed to be least able to affect change. Imagine if we replicated this bottom-up approach while also engaging governments to provide top-down support, such as creating enabling policies, facilitating extension services and developing FMNR-linked market chains. Research institutions to optimise impact and educational institutions to equip the next generation of leaders with FMNR knowledge and skill. Other non-government organisations, faith-based organisations and environmental groups. Surely it would be possible to realise restoration rates of 5 million hectares not in 20 years but in 5, and not in one country at a time but in multiple countries simultaneously. To this end, World Vision promotes a broad range of regreening initiatives including FMNR, climate-smart agriculture and use of greenhouses to enhance child well-being, livelihoods and nutrition. Selected approaches are currently being implemented in Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, Myanmar, Mongolia and China. For example, World Vision's solar energy program in Vietnam has brought clean energy to remote communities, benefiting over 60,000 people and powering their homes, roads and schools with solar electrification. Innovative community waste management initiatives implemented by World Vision Foundation of Thailand are benefiting hundreds of households, drawing energy and other value-added products from household waste. Hundreds of vulnerable households have been provided with innovative energy-efficient gears, or traditional Mongolian homes, as part of a pilot project by World Vision Mongolia, addressing issues of indoor air pollution while reducing the dependence on coal for heating and cooking. At World Vision, we have a bold goal to restore 1 billion hectares of degraded land over the next decade. We won't do it alone. We will work in the places where we already serve, but just as importantly, we will work with and through others to expand the impact far beyond our own reach. This is not just a campaign, it's a journey, and I invite you to walk it with us. My vision for the future is to see healthy, functioning landscapes that support thriving communities leading prosperous and dignified lives. And right now, the opportunity for countries across East Asia to lead the way in scaling FMNR is not just possible, it's within reach. In fact, it's already beginning. Together, we can restore millions of hectares. We can lift vulnerable people out of poverty. There is a common saying, the root of the problem. Instead, we invite you to change this to the root of the solution. We can discover underground forests and together bring life to degraded land and vulnerable community. and we can fight climate change, not someday, but starting now. This is our moment. Let's take it together. Thank you.